This video covers permissions. This is something that you're going to have to be logged in as an administrator to do. It allows you to pick and choose which permissions apply for which people. Once you're logged in as an administrator, click Admin and then go to Permissions. Now here you can see you have different types of users in the system and different things that you can allow them to do. So first of all, we have salespeople, which of course are your employees, the salespeople that work at the showroom. Accounts are going to be trade accounts such as contractors, designers, developers, builders, anyone along those lines. And then you have web guest, which is going to be someone who is logged out and coming to your site. And then you have order only and customer, and these are both variations of homeowner logins. So the order only login will allow you to log in and just see a single order. The customer login is what you typically give your homeowners so they can log in and see all of their orders, estimates, and wish lists all in one place. So you wouldn't use both of those for a homeowner. You'd pick one or the other typically. And then over here you have the user drop down. Now all of the users that you have in the system are going to appear in this drop down, and you can select any one of those and then set the permissions for them individually. So if you have a lot of salespeople and certain ones need different permissions than others, this is where you would set that so you could set them with different permissions. Now let's talk about what the individual permissions are. The first one there is show vendor and item information. Now that's talking about the vendor name and the original item number. So in other words, the manufacturer's item number. And there's always a choice here whether you want to show the vendor's item numbers or whether you want the XOLights item numbers. So let me kind of break it down here for you. If you are priced at IMAP or UMAP, whichever policy the vendor has, it does benefit you to show the actual vendor and item number, because then the people who are shopping around on the web for the cheapest price will shop to you. It will help people come to you and find you easier and bring in a little bit more traffic. If you are not priced at IMAP, if you're priced even a little bit above IMAP, then you don't want to show the vendor and item information, because people will grab those item numbers and stick them into Google or Bing or some other search engine and pull up your competitors and see who has the best price and purchase from them. With the XOLights item numbers, which you can turn on down here, those ones are unique to your site. So if you were to grab an item number, one of those XOLights internal item numbers for one of the products in your catalog and stick it into a search engine, you would be the only site that came up. So there are pros and cons. You can decide there what you want to do. If you want to show the XOLights item numbers, select all of these on this row, and that'll turn them on. If you want to show the vendor item numbers, you select all of them on this row, and then also don't forget to do it up here. Now it is possible to have both item numbers on at the same time. If you want to do that, you can. It's not always the wisest thing to do though, because then people come in with an item number and you're not sure if that's the internal item number or the vendor's item number, and it can be a little confusing. Although you can search for both item numbers, the XO and the vendor number in the catalog. Now if you are using the actual vendor item numbers, then you'll also want to just go over here to item identifiers real quick and make sure that you have on your tiers. So I have my default tier and my web tier. I'm going to click my web tier and select vendor item number and save. And then we'll do the same thing for the default tier, which would be in store. So then let's go back to permissions here. And then you have show costs and margins. And obviously you're going to be very selective about who you give permission to do that. Now a lot of times with salespeople, they do need to have access to information like the vendor information and the costs and margins, but they also need the ability to hide that for when they're working with a customer. And that's where this toggle comes in, allow to toggle the vendor information on and off, allow to toggle the costs and margins on and off. Let me just pull up the catalog real quick here and show you how that works. And You have this VI and CM in the corner. The VI and CM are the tools that you're going to use to toggle information. So the VI stands for vendor information, and that would be the vendor name here and the original vendor number. Now I have the vendor number set as my default number, so you can see that's the one in the blue link. If you had both numbers on or the internal item number set as the default number, you would see that here instead of the blue one. When you click the VI, it'll toggle that off. And you can see the vendor name has disappeared. If I had the internal item numbers on here, which I don't right now, then the vendor's actual item number would have disappeared as well. The CM stands for costs and margins. I'm going to turn that on real quick here. You can see there's the cost of the item. And when you're working on an estimate order or wish list, the VI and CM buttons will be there as well, and the CM will toggle off margins as well at that point. But that just allows you to turn this on and off real quick so they can see it when they need it and turn it off when they don't. And that is the VI and CM. And again, you just click right on the letters VI or CM to toggle those on or off. And those letters VI and CM will only appear if your login has permission to use them. Otherwise, they won't even be there. Allow item additions without room refers to being able to add items onto an estimate or a wish list without assigning a room, meaning that if this is not checked, it's mandatory to assign a room before you can do that. Allow use of order custom data fields is kind of an unusual one. That's one that we would go over with you if you actually are using. In most cases, that's not something that you'll ever need to touch. The next three permissions all deal with the item sales info button. Here, whether you can log into the item sales info, which is the little key that you see on the item details page that you can click on to log in and see additional information. Let me just pull up an item sales info box real quick so you can see. I'm just going to go into the catalog, click on an item, product details. Here's the little key, and we'll log in. And the reason it's having me log in is because the key will be there all the time, regardless of whether you're logged in or logged out. But then when you actually click on it, the login that you put in has to have permissions to see this. So you can see a lot of product information, availability, which is visible without logging in. But the price here, it shows you all of the different price points, manufacturer information, which if you have your reps information stored in XOLights, it will appear there. And then other information there's got a few random things. Now, if we look at this right here, allowed to log in, this means that your login will allow you to get in the first place. And then the prices box, all of those different pricing scales that you have for the item, will only appear if you have this button checked. And then the manufacturer info, which again is your reps information if that's in the system, will only be in the item sales info page if this box is checked. And for more information, please watch our item sales info video. And then the allow to confirm estimate, this just determines whether or not a salesperson would be able to confirm an estimate. Typically, you wouldn't give that permission to anyone else. There are a couple of things that does. First of all, it marks it as a completed order, and so you typically only do that after everything is finished. The other thing is, if you have an integration with a back-end system like QuickBooks or Windward or IT or any of the other ones that we integrate with, then confirming the order is what flags it to move over to the back-end system. And so sometimes you want the ability to control who can do that and who can't, and that's where you would set that is with these permissions here. And that's really the basics there of the permissions. If you have any questions, feel free to contact our client services team at clientservices@XOLights.com. Also, feel free to use any of the additional resources on the site. And as always, thanks for watching and have a great day.